Hi there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Fantasy for the Ages. I'm going to share my top 10 Hugo Award winners. The World's Science Fiction Society has been giving out a Hugo Award for the year's best science fiction or fantasy novel since 1953. I don't know if you've heard of the Hugo Awards. You probably have if you're a fan of this genre. They missed a few years in the 50s, but they've been consistent with an annual award since 1958. And they've even gone and added a retro award so that they could give awards for the best fantasy and science fiction from previous years. So they're really trying to share the love. Beyond best novel, they also give awards for best short story, best novelette, and best novella. Just because a novel is selected for the Hugo, it doesn't mean I'm going to personally enjoy it, and maybe neither will you. A whole bunch of other people have used subjective criteria to decide which book is the best of the year. But my enjoyment criteria is my own. Same with you. So here for you today is my ranking of the 10 best Hugo Best Novel Award winners. Now, there's a key disclaimer I've got to bring to you. I haven't read all of the award-winning books. In fact, I've only read 10 of them. So it's easy for me to give you my best 10 because I'm just ranking the 10 that I've read. And at the end of my list, though, I'm going to give a shout out to other winners that are on my TBR and that I do look forward to reading. And then also, I'm going to speak to some runners up that would have been in my top 10 if they'd won. But first, the list from bottom to top. Here's the 10 Hugo Award winning best novels that I've read and how I rank them. Number 10, The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. That's the 2016 winner. Number 9, the 2017 winner, The Obelisk Gate, also by N.K. Jemisin. These are both part of the Broken Earth trilogy. And while I did read them and appreciate them, they're not my favorite of books. Number 8, Speaker for the Dead by Orson Scott Card, the 1987 Hugo winner. This is book 2 of the Ender's Game cycle. And I kind of found it an odd book. But it's got its merits, and I understand why it won the Hugo. Number 7, Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein. That's all the way back in 1962. That's an impressive novel. Kind of mind-blowing. Something to check out sometime. Number 6, The Stone Sky. Again, by N.K. Jemisin, the 2018 winner. And very impressively, it was the clean sweep that 3 years in a row, 16, 17, and 18, the books of the Broken Earth trilogy won the Hugo. That's only been done a couple of times. It does speak to the quality of the literature. Number 5, Foundation's Edge by Isaac Asimov. This is a 1983 novel, part of Foundation, the whole Foundation series, which of course is now being used in an adaptation on Apple TV+. Foundation and all of those books were fantastic for me, so that's a strong number 5. Number 4, Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, 1986. So this is book 1, of course, of the Ender's Game series. There's 4 books in the series as a whole. Ender's Game, I found terrific. There's a movie adaptation that's pretty good as well, but as usual, the book is better. Number 3, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, 2001's Hugo winner. I read all the Harry Potter books to my kids. I read them all first myself and then went through them with the little ones. And literally, Zach was pretty little when I'm still reading this book to him. Sparked the love for fantasy for so many people. And I don't know if it was really worthy of being the Hugo winner, but I sure liked the book, and it changed a generation of readers. Number 2, Red Shirts by John Scalzi, 2013 Hugo winner. Absolutely entertaining book. I've read this one twice. I've got content out on it here on the channel. If you've not read Red Shirts and you consider yourself a Star Trek fan, You definitely got to go read this book. It's next level, and it's a hoot. Finally, number one, the best Hugo Award winning book, and literally this has to be one of the best of all time, is Dune by Frank Herbert, the 1966 Hugo winner. I love Dune. I love the entire Dune series, but Dune was groundbreaking in the kinds of stuff he thought of. Frank Herbert just really brings the heavy science fiction with the flair of fantasy in there, the world building. It's just so impressive. So that's number one. Now, what are the other books that definitely won the Hugo that I do plan to read? Well, here's my list. Starship Troopers, another Robert Heinlein novel, this one the 1960 winner. The Man in the High Castle by Philip K. Dick, 1963. That was adapted for a show on Amazon that I've only watched like 2 episodes of, and I loved it, but got busy. I really got to read that book, and I do have it high in my TBR. The Left Hand of Darkness, Ursula K. Le Guin, is our 1970 winner. I've read no Le Guin yet, but I'm going to fix that soon. Hyperion by Dan Simmons, 1990s Hugo winner. Zach read that one last year. He loved it. I'll get there. The Vor Game by Lois McMaster Buchhold. That's the 1992 winner. It's part of the Farkosigan saga. It's on my TBR, but that sucker is buried. So I don't know if I'll ever get there, but I'd like to. A Fire Upon the Deep by Werner Vinge is the 1993 Hugo winner. Again, on my TBR, not high, but I hope to read it. The Doomsday Book by Connie Willis, 1993's winner, a tale involving time travel. Looks fascinating. Green Mars by Kim Stanley Robinson, the 1994 winner. Science fiction. I look forward to reading it. It's not too far down on my list. Mirror Dance by Lois McMaster Buchhold, 1995's winner. She appears again. Blue Mars, Kim Stanley Robinson, 1997. That's part of the 4-book series of Mars books. I'll get to them all, I hope. A Deepness in the Sky by Werner Vinge, the 2000 winner. That's part of the same series as A Fire Upon the Deep that won back in 93. And again, I've got the whole series on my list. American Gods by Neil Gaiman. This is one that Zach's already read. It was the 2002 winner of the Hugo. He's not sure I'll like it, but I do plan to read it and find out for myself. Paladin of Souls, another Lois McMaster Buchhold novel winning the Hugo in 2004. Buchhold is one of a small number of authors who have taken not just 2 Hugos, but multiple. So well done. Definitely got to read some of her work. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke won in 2005. That's one I plan to read here this coming year. Blackout and All Clear, 2 different novels, both by Connie Willis, both part of that same time travel series that the Doomsday Book started. These 2 together won the 2011 Hugo. They both came out in 2011, and they were granted it as a unit. 2015's winner was The 3-Body Problem by Sijin Liu, and I've got this one coming up very soon. Definitely a 2024 read because I got to get it done before I can watch the show that's going to be adapted on Netflix. Just a few left. A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martin. It was the 2020 winner. I look forward to reading that. Network Effect by Martha Wells, one of the Murderbot Diaries books, is the 2021 winner. I really am looking forward to the Murderbot Diaries. I've heard so much good about this sci-fi. And the 2022 winner, A Desolation Called Peace, again by Arkady Martin, part of the same series as A Memory Called Empire. Definitely want to get these read. Finally, most interesting, I've got 5 books amongst the runners-up. Okay, so books that were nominated to win the Hugo, but didn't win. But they're all books that I've read, and there's more than 5 that I have read. But I looked at all the ones I've read that were runners-up and said, which 5 were good enough that if they had won, they would have bumped things off the 10 I gave you. And I've got some good ones here. I'm not putting where they would have fallen in the various order, but I can tell you that everything from my 6 through 10, so The Stone Sky, Stranger in a Strange Land, Speaker for the Dead, The Obelisk Gate, and The Fifth Season, would all be gone from my top 10 if any of these had won. What do I have? In 2022, a runner-up, Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I've got an episode out here on that one already. I loved that book. He's so good at his science fiction. A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin, part of A Song of Ice and Fire. That was nominated in 2006, but was an also ran. I'd have it on my list. In 1992, All the Wares of Pern by Anne McCaffrey was nominated. I would have loved if that had won. That was the culmination, book 11 of the main storyline of the Dragon Riders of Pern. It was so good. It maybe didn't win because you needed to read the first 10 and then it was all these payoffs and such, but good book. Definitely would make my top 10. In 2012, a runner-up was Leviathan Wakes, book 1 of The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. I loved The Expanse. I've got a number of episodes out on there. Even Zach's read Leviathan Wakes and has his own Book Blast episode review. That would definitely be on my top 10. And finally, in 2014, as an entire series, The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan and finished by Brandon Sanderson. The series was finished in 2013. I love that because you guys know I'm a big Wheel of Time fan. There you go, my quick take on my Hugo winners. Check these books out, especially the ones that I'd say are the best. If you haven't read them, do it. Put them on your TBRs. If you have any takes on any of these books that I've highlighted, especially the ones that I haven't yet read, but I have on my TBR, I would love to hear about it. Put your thoughts down in the comments. And if there's other Hugo winners that you're like, dude, these are awesome books, and I didn't even mention them, let me know those too. I love to know when I'm wrong. Just tell me. My wife will tell you. I always accept when I'm wrong. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.